destination is. As far as the time goes, late afternoon, more information on that as we get it. So we'll send that out. With that, turn it over to Coach.
Thank you, Matt, and good to see everybody. Hope everybody made it back safely. Interesting ride, I'm sure, the other day. So, it was a really good weekend, obviously, and, good to finish the season on a Friday. One bonus there is that we get a little time to get away, and the players didn't really have anything until yesterday morning outside their academic, requirements. So, really good that way. Obviously, very pleased with Friday's game. Mentioned that afterwards, and just nice to be able to sit back and watch everybody else work on the weekend, and we got a chance to relax a little bit. But just a couple words about the season and the Friday's effort. Just overall, really proud of our guys and pleased with their effort. It's been a really good team to work with, certainly.
Destination is.
And
as far as the time goes, late
I've
afternoon,
mentioned several times,
more
it's been that way
information on
since
that
January. These
as
guys
we
have
get
just
it.
been
So
an exceptional group to work with. Leadership's been strong, and the way they work together has been really good. So thing about this team, every week they prepared well, handled camp, handled spring ball, summer, all that. But week to week they really prepared well and competed all 12 times, about as hard as you can compete. And we came up short a couple times, but it wasn't for lack of effort or paying attention to detail, all those kinds of things. So really rewarding in that regards. And a lot of ways, like 2008, I think the biggest difference there is the teams that we lost to were all ranked teams. And, I told the team a couple weeks ago, my guess is 2 of those teams will be top 5, and that's where they both sit right now. So, the teams that we lost to are really good teams, and sometimes that's the way that goes. But, again, just a really special group, and we're all looking forward to finding out where we're going here sometime this month coming up here, and then getting ready. I'm sure it'll be a good opponent, and I'm sure we'll be underdogs again. So that's typically how bowls go. So anyway, that's kind of it. And, this has been a good week for us now. It's a little bit different. College football continues to change, and this is one positive change, actually, because we're basically sequestered to the barracks here for the next month. And, our players are here, we're here, which is really an unusual combination in December, but it makes a lot of sense. So we're taking this month just to, especially this week, just having a chance for the players to reset, recharge a little bit, get their house in order. Academically, all those kinds of things, and then having a chance to sit down. Position coaches are all sitting down with their guys individually, and just talking about the season, and then looking forward, that type of thing. So setting the table a little bit there. Really nothing to report right now. Imagine some things will happen over the course of the month that wouldn't be unusual. Hopefully, like last year, we don't have a lot of transition, but we'll wait and see how that all works out. And the only one to mention right now, I know Jackson went on social media and talked about it, but Jackson left the program. Unfortunately, he's really had some interesting health challenges, internal digestive stuff, and so he's had a rough year physically, getting the nutrition right, and he's lost a lot of weight, all that type of thing. So he's had a really rough year. He's gone home. He's going to graduate here in December. He's taking the rest of his classes online. And I just want to compliment him because, he showed up here. I literally met him and his mom and dad here a year ago, July or August, whenever it was our first year guys reported. And little did I know at that point, nor did he know. He's probably more surprised. He ended up, starting for a couple games for us and, got a couple wins for us. So really appreciative of him as a person and the job he did coming out of the bullpen. So wish him the best. I think, he's contemplating playing another year. So we'll see how that all goes. And then recruiting-wise here, Tyler's going to come up and he'll go in real deep depth. But, biggest thing is that recruiting's changed a lot, and you guys know that better than I do. Just the signing date used to be, people would fax stuff in, and we'd, take phone calls starting at 6 in the morning, all that stuff. And it's a very, very different process than it used to be. Yet I think it's a lot similar in a lot of ways too, and it's still the crux of building a team, and it really is important. It's an important thing, and each and every guy that joins our team, we're really excited about it. We spend a lot of time trying to research players. We do it a little bit differently. I think we do our own evaluations. Don't go off magazines or this guy said or this school offered a guy. We just don't do that, and we try to be as thorough as we possibly can. And it's worked well for us. That's just kind of our formula. But and hopefully we're adding 18 players, actually 22 that we feel really good about here. So excited about that. We don't mass recruit. We don't send out 300 offers. And I don't know how you get to know a class by doing that. And I think our coaches do a really good job of doing their homework, getting to know the guys and looking for the traits that we think are important. There's obviously requisite physical things that you have to play football at this level. But I think our standards are probably a little different than others, and maybe we accentuate certain things that maybe other people don't. So, just really, pleased with the way the coaches went about it. Towers, the guy that coordinates it all, and that's a nightmarish job, quite frankly. And then on top of it, the other component, which has always been this way, at least in my 37 years here, it's not just the coaches recruiting, but it's a lot of people that help recruit. And one thing that hasn't changed, if we can get a prospect on campus, and if we can get them on campus with their parents, I think we really have a better chance of gaining traction. And that's because so many people help sell it. When a kid comes on campus for an official visit, the exposure they get to all kinds of people on campus, whether it's professors, academic counselors, and they give a lot of personal time up to help us recruit. So we're very, very appreciative. It's truly a team effort, and just really happy about that. So, feel good about the group overall. I think we addressed the things we were trying to address. Felt good about that, and then we'll continue to just look around and see what we can do to keep supplementing the roster. But really feel good about that. So, the other thing of note, and I don't know if it's been shared with you, but we expect 14 of them to start out in January. So signing dates change, and this will be the biggest number we've had of guys coming in January. Some schools pretty much make it mandatory, at least that's what I hear, talking to prospects. It's a question that's frequently answered of us, do you expect the players to come in January? And our answer is no, we don't. It's not discouraged, but, we don't necessarily sell it and certainly don't mandate it. I don't believe in that. It is funny or interesting, maybe not funny, but interesting with this roster reduction stuff. I remember talking to Ray during camp out there before we started practice one day back in August, and football is becoming a business, college football. The business of college football has truly become a business. And from a business standpoint, it is like, it'd be smart for us to mandate it. But that flies really in the face of what we believe in recruiting. We like multi-sport athletes. We like guys that are parts of teams that are playing basketball or playing on a wrestling, competing on the wrestling mat, involved in track, involved in baseball. And I always tell prospects, Josie Jewell didn't get here till August. He played baseball for Decorah. I believe they won the state championship, shows up in August. He's the only 3-time captain in the history of this program, which, I think it was 1889 when that started. So, it's more about the back end. It's more about an entire career, not your first 10 months on campus. You build a foundation when you get here, but we're not counting on any player to come in and save our team in year one. So big picture that way. But anyway, all that being said, that's just part of the new landscape. So I'll put it, Tower fill in all the blanks, but again, just feel really good about the class, really enthused about them, and eager to start work with them. But first things first, we got the month of December in front of us, so I'll throw it out for questions.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, two-part question. One, when do you guys plan on doing your individual meetings with the players? So I know it's really early, it feels like, but with the portal and everything, when do you kind of start to do those individual meetings? Yeah,
that's actually what we've been doing or are doing right now, and we'll get together as a staff tomorrow afternoon and just pull in information, see what's going on. But obviously, if there's something dramatic, I think I'd know that by now, or at least at this point. But and it's all preliminary. Just mentioned college football has become a business, and one thing I encourage our guys during the season is, there's a business time and there's a football time, and hopefully everybody's here to play football and really be part of a team. So take care of business when it's business time, and this is a business month for everybody. That began a long time ago, but hopefully our guys haven't been too active. But there's going to be poaching and all that stuff going on. That's just part of what we do now.
And then you talk about how important
I say we do. No, I'm not including us, but college football, collectively, it's all going on.
You talk about how important it is to get players on campus, and I know the recruiting calendar's changed almost yearly at this point, but with it only being open 2 weeks and it goes to the middle of January, how do you guys kind of plan on attacking the portal when you talk about getting the guys on campus and doing all that. Do you have kind of a preliminary idea of how you're going to go about that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be active in the portal, and it's been helpful to us. I think about a guy like Jacob Gill, mentioned him, who's been with us for 2 years and doesn't have, franchise numbers, if you will, put it in those terms, but hit the value he's at. I talk about the leadership on our football team. He's a big part of that, boy. I tell you, he embodies everything you want in a football player, and just been such a great contributor. So, yeah, I mean, we're always looking to help our football team. We will be. It is interesting, whatever the window is, it's pretty quick in January. So, we may be playing cards and watching soap operas here the next couple of weeks, but I know what we'll be doing early January. Okay, we'll be very active in that. So, yeah, it's a whole new world. This is another twist and turn of college football, and I don't know if it'll stay like this moving forward, but we'll deal with it as it comes, just like you do everything else.
Chad Lystico, Des Moines Register. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving of doing nothing.
That was awesome. Okay. Didn't have turkey till Sunday, though, because of the snow.
What is your message to recruits that ask about your future as head coach here, and are you definitively, it sounds like you are, definitively going to coach the Hawkeyes in 2026?
Yeah, 26? That's next year, right? God, I hope so. I mean, unless you know something I don't know. I just tell them the truth. I feel really good. I had no idea what it feels like to be 70. Now I do. However many months it's been, and it doesn't feel any different than when I was 60. I feel good physically. I've got permission from my wife to keep doing this, and it's what I like doing. I really like enjoying it or enjoy doing it. Unless we just just screw this up beyond repair, which we're trying to do right now in college football. I don't envision stopping anytime in the near future. It's what I do. Don't golf. When I did, I stunk, so I don't see going back to that. And that's irreparable, too. My golf game is just awful.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. I was curious, with the evolving landscape of college football, the expanded playoff, how, if any, the way the program views its goals have changed. Because from what I had heard, when it was a 14 playoff, the goal was Big Ten championship.
Yep.
Now you could argue that it's easier to make the college football playoff than it is to win the Big Ten championship. Has the way the program views its goals changed at all, or your messaging is it the same, different? How have you kind of approach that?
Yeah, I mean, our goal has always been to win every game. If we got games scheduled, we're going to try to win them. And that's kind of what I'm referring to. I saw this coming years ago, just when they went to the 4, and I think I said on record I did prefer the 2-game thing, only because as soon as we went to 4, that's where all the focus went, and a lot of bowl games were considered quote unquote meaningless, insignificant, all that kind of stuff. And it flies in the face of the way I guess I was raised. Like, the beauty of the game is competition. The beauty of the game is building a team and being part of something bigger than you. And if that's your end goal, if it's the one thing that hasn't changed, only one team's going to come out on top. No matter how we slice this thing and dice it, it's going to be one team's going to win the championship. So it used to be 2 that got to compete for it. Now it's 4, and then it went to 12. And it's going to keep expanding. I get that. But, our program goal, I mean, we want to win anything. If we're going to compete, we're going to try to win. But the bigger picture, the 3 things that have been important from day one are graduation, first and foremost. I know everybody says that, but it is true. Second thing is being a good citizen, a positive citizen, hopefully, on campus, where the team, anything you're a member of. And the third thing is maximizing your football experience. And to me, it's as simple as that. If we're doing it right, some years, we might have a realistic chance to get there, and then other years maybe not. But I think it's a trap if you start chasing all those exterior things. Me personally. All you can do is do your best, and you try to, we're trying to do our best each and every week, and breaks it down to the day, just maximizing days. But that's all you can do. And then, if you're good enough, you're good enough, and if you're not, you're not. And that other people, we got plenty of people judging us, so it's never been an issue. Fans and other people on top of that. So, and you can't control how people, view you either. I mean, but I can assure you, we're trying to win. That's our goal, is to win. But it's a bigger picture than that too, because again, ultimately only one team's going to win. I do know that. In the NFL, you got a 1 out of 32 shot. In our deal, I think there's 68 teams in power. Power 5, Power 4 schools. Is that correct? I think it's 68. I don't know how many in what do they call the other ones? Huh? Group of 5, okay, so group of 5 times whatever number that is. And their odds are probably a little less than ours, but, only one team's going to come out happy. It's like pro football. Figured that out a long time ago.
Hi, Kirk. Scott Docterman with The Athletic. Kind of along those lines, almost existential with the sport itself. This year we saw more firings of quality coaches, experienced coaches at the mid-year, basically when they lost their third game and they were not part of the playoff, that you saw people get fired, which really never happened before. And then you're also seeing somebody leave a team that's going to the playoff, as opposed to, like, I don't think we would see Mike Vrabel leave the Patriots for the Giants, for instance, on the eve of the wild card round this year. But do you think that an expanded playoff would, not even 16, but potentially 24, would curb some of that, where you're going immediately into a playoff round, and then there's also the chance of lasting longer through the season, that 3 losses wouldn't preclude you from being part of it? Or is that just going to change the dynamic in a different direction like this all has?
Yeah, I really haven't given that part thought, like, the next expansion, how that's going to impact things. But thing I can comment on is, like, there's no question, things have changed, and it is the business of football now. The clear takeaway, I don't know who the first guy fired was, maybe it was James, but the clear message there is win, like win and win now. And that, I'm smiling up here because, I probably wouldn't, if this was 27 years or 26 years ago, I'd probably be on that casualty list too. Ironically, 27 years, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm still here. People have varied opinions on that. But that's one of the ironies I find. The other irony, maybe I'm amused by it, but everybody talks about our staff from the 80s. We were all assistants. Like, we all got hired at decent places, right? And we were all assistants. And I'm thinking about Barry. I'm thinking about Bill Snyder. I'm thinking about Bob Stoops. And it seemed like we all did okay. Like, everybody talking. And Dan McCartney probably did a better job than any of us at Iowa State, because Iowa State was in a really low place. K-State was way down there too. But none of us were head coaches. And how many assistants have been hired this hiring cycle? But that takes, you got to do your homework, and you got to have some guts to do that too. And, it's just, the world's different. That's all. Everybody's, we didn't have consulting firms back then either, I don't think, back in the 80s. So how we've improved. They're making money though. Those consultants are making money. Good for them. Everybody's finding a way. Oh, I'm getting the hook. Okay, good. I'm enjoying this. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Tower. Tower has done an unbelievable job as a general manager, and I joked about it being a hard job. It is a challenging job because, he's basically on the phone all the time, but that allows me to go play too, so it's a good thing. So anyway, I'll turn it over and he can give you a lot of details about the class. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirk.
Appreciate everybody coming out today. It's kind of crazy to think this is the 10th year I've been back, the 10th time I've sat up here in front of you guys and talked about our class. A lot of it's probably going to sound redundant and the same. That's good. It's how we like it. We like uneventful signing days. I was not on the phone until 3 a.m. this year like I was last year with one of our guys. Glad I was. I'm glad he's here. But, as Coach mentioned, we brought in 22 guys today. We announced 18 scholarship guys, 4 walk-ons. And as Coach alluded to a little bit, it takes a village when we're building a recruiting class. It's 2.5, 3 years in the making. When we get guys on campus, it's not just our coaching staff, our recruiting staff that's back here. We use our academic staff. We're with admin, working with them. It's people all across the building, the community, when we're taking them around. So it really isn't just, I know you get to hear from me and talk to me. I do have an idea next year. We've got 2 of our recruiting staff members back here, Delana Cadell and Rhett Smines. Spalding snuck out. I want to do a panel where I do like coach and I address everything for a little bit, and then I let you guys ask them all the questions. So I'll see if Matt will let us do that. But in all seriousness, it does take a village, and this is the first, I think my first full year where in a high school recruiting class I haven't been hands-on in everything day to day. I've got an awesome recruiting staff, and Scott Southmaid, who's back in his office. They handled so much more of it this year than it's ever happened, and that's mainly my role has changed. There's a lot of different things that I've kind of taken on in this general manager role, which I love without a doubt. But when it comes into some of the really granular day-to-day stuff, that's going to fall on Rhett, Delana, and Matt, and Southie. But I do love it. It's as Coach said, the new era of rev share and NIL and agents has been exhausting, but it's fun. You still have to create those relationships, and ultimately that's how you're going to end up going to fill out your class. And before it was just agents with portal guys. Now it's agents with high school kids, and it's a transactional world. There's no doubt about it. We still have, while we have adapted and adjusted in how we want to build this class, there's still our core values that just aren't going to move, right? Money is definitely a part of it. At some point, you're going to have that conversation, even with the high school kids and their parents. This is the first year where I think parents truly are knowledgeable about how this all works. So it is part of it. But, when we find a guy we want to offer and we feel good about him, and, his second question is, when can I talk to the GM? Well, he wants to talk to me for one reason. It's not to develop a relationship if it's that early. He wants to know what the package is going to be. It's kind of made it easier to move away from guys, too. You can sift through who you really want to go after and who you want to get. So with that said, the 22 guys we have coming in, we feel great about those guys. It's another Midwest-heavy class, if you will. It typically is always going to be here. As Coach mentioned, a lot of multi-sport athletes. But when it comes down to character, what their household looked like, it's a lot of the same of what we've had here in the past. And when you got 27 years of experience and 27 years of proof that this works, we're going to keep doing it that way. But I'd love to open up for questions for you guys and kind of go from there.
I'm curious, Ethan Peter, Quad City Times. I'm curious what it's like building synergy with Tim in terms of what he's looking for in a quarterback, what you guys are finding and who you're reaching out to. What did you guys find in the quarterback you signed today, and where you guys stand in terms of the quarterback room? Do you want to add to that through the portal, through possibly a late signing?
Yeah, the first thing you knew with Tim is time, like a lot of meeting time, because Tim is going to talk a lot, which is one of his biggest strengths. And I'm not joking. I think, Rhett, how long was he with Traden when he was here? 4.5 hours watching film and in the office. But that's why guys love Tim, because his passion, his energy. If you can't notice it and feel it, we're definitely on the wrong guy. But obviously we had a young man that was committed to us for a little bit over a year, who decommitted in the summer. And we had some guys on the board we felt good about. Probably Tim didn't want to hear it at the time, but my biggest thing is let's be patient. Let's go into the season and let's see senior film on some guys, right? There's going to be guys that rise. There's going to be guys that are at schools where maybe the season's not going well and there could be some coaching changes. And I'm glad we did. And we watched, 6 to 8 guys we kind of honed in on that we really presented to Tim. And I probably had Traden as my top guy. He's a bigger kid, 6'4", 210 right now. Really live arm, really whippy arm, can really throw it. His stats, if you go back the last 3 years, are pretty gaudy. It's kind of incredible. But then you get a chance to meet the kid and talk to him, and that was a tough one because, Boise State at the time, they had their hooks into him pretty good. And we haven't really recruited Utah. That was the last guy we actually went out to visit in Utah was Zach Wilson, another quarterback. But, the biggest thing was just really trying to build that relationship. And then once we got him here, just as Coach says, once we can get a kid here, especially a quarterback or an offensive player, and you put him in front of Tim, you feel pretty good about your chances. The same can be said for Mark, right? When we got Mark here last year in the winter, I knew about 2 hours into that meeting with Tim, all right, we're in a good spot. We're going to get this done. In terms of the quarterback room, right now we feel good with where it's at. We'd love to get Traden here early. He's going to stay and play basketball this winter. I'm going to continue to poke him a little bit. I know Coach says we don't push guys to come early. I'm going to keep trying to push that one, and we'll see what happens. But unless there's some type of movement in our room, we feel good about where we're at, and we plan to roll with the guys we got in there. Yeah.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Got a nice little cornerback out of Omaha. I know his brother plays for Nebraska. His other brother was a media member here. But what are you kind of getting in Darian, his senior film, just says playmaker written all over that one?
Yeah.
And when did you guys really start honing in on him?
I can't wait for you guys to interview Darian because he's going to definitely be one of the best interviews in the class. If anybody's already talked to him, energy is through the roof, and he's just a great kid. Coach Woods has known that family for a long time, going back to Northwest Iowa, so we always knew about Darian. And thank God he's a diehard Hawkeye fan, because I'm not sure we're going to be able to sign Darian if he isn't, because you can see his senior film. This kid's pretty talented. He can run. He's long. He's a really smart kid. Again, the passion and energy he has is unmatched with anybody in this class. There's no doubt about it. But we're excited to get him here. He'll be one of the 14 guys that will be here in January. I think last year when we played Nebraska here, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, you can fact check it with Darian, I'm pretty sure he sat in the Nebraska family section because his brother was on the team wearing Iowa stuff. Like, that's how much of an Iowa fan he is. Like, I wouldn't recommend that, but that's who Darian is. But, you know, and you're not shocked because when you meet his brothers, his dad, his mom, I mean, you're not shocked at what type of kid he is. You know, really excited about him. I know Phil's excited about him. It'll be good to get him here and rolling in January.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Curious with the offensive line, I mean, you brought in the 5 of them. I believe they were all committed pretty early, but how did that process kind of go in getting them? Like, did you expect to bring in that big of a class of offensive linemen, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, we knew we were going to take 4, and, you know, with a possibility of a 5th, but once we got him here, we felt good about the group. What I can say about Coach Barnett's unbelievable in the process, right? He is very targeted in his approach. He knows exactly who he wants. It's taken a few years, obviously, for him to get that room where he wants it to be. In the last 2 years, it's been pretty dang good now. But George he's funny. Like, he knows what he wants and he's going to go after it. There's no fluff and no frills with George. I mean, it's very straightforward and very honest. But the group as a whole, I mean, they're a good group. I was telling Chad earlier, it's funny. You know, Jennings Dunker's our best recruiter in the building. There's no doubt. I wish I could hire him right now. But anytime somebody's on campus, if they're at some point they're with Dunk and he's got like a whole audience back there, Dunk just being Dunk. We had 5 different hosts for the 5 guys in June for their visit, and somehow both nights I think all 5 kids ended up with Dunk by himself somehow. But he tells me every day, like, T, man, I wish I had one more year just to be around this O-line group. Like, you guys are going to have your hands full, but they're a lot of fun, and, man, they're going to be good. Like, and he's correct. I mean, it's 5 completely different personalities, but seeing how close that group's gotten just over, like, throughout the fall, it's pretty impressive. I mean, these guys, you know, you got Colin Witters who's in town. You got Owen Linder who'd come over by himself every once in a while for games, same with Gene Reardan, and they just go stay at Colin's house after the game. Like, those guys, you see groups get tight before signing day and before they get here, but, like, this group is unlike any group I've seen. Like, they are super, super tight. And you love the group. I mean, you got size, you got length in that entire group. Obviously, Carson was the first guy that committed to us in the spring of 24. You know, he's the first guy who got it kicked off and got rolling, and he could go anywhere in the country if you wanted to. But you love the versatility you got in there, and it's going to be fun to get those guys here too. Just a fun group, and I'll keep Dunk updated on how they're doing for sure. Yeah.
Scott Docterman with The Athletic. How you doing, Tyler?
Scott?
I wanted to ask you about linebackers. You know, this is a position that I won't say, you know, certainly the importance is there, but when you're going with a cash secondary, that you're playing 2 at a time, and you've now got, I think, 10 scholarship guys plus a walk-on who's been playing a lot, and Nolan DeLong. What's the idea behind taking 3 this year? You've had now 8 in the last 3 years, and all of them are high-level guys. What's the thought process behind taking those, and does that apply to special teams in other areas?
For sure, it's a good question. And actually, by our budget, we're still down a body in that room. I don't think we'll get there to fill it. I think we'll roll with what we got. But a big part of it is special teams. And Coach Wallace will be the first to tell you. He walks around the building reminding everybody because, you know, when we got this budget set, everybody needs one more spot, right? And people are always, we'll take it from the linebackers. And Coach Wallace will be the first to walk around with our stats and how many reps everybody's played in games and show that, hey, these guys are all playing majority of special teams. And it got to the point this year, I mean, we kind of always budgeted to take 3. That was always the plan. And lucky for us, we hit it on our first 3, which typically doesn't happen very often. And 3 guys you feel really good about. 3 guys that are pretty different in terms of who they are and their play style. And 3 guys that, in an ideal world, we'd love to redshirt everybody. You guys know that. Like, it'd be great to redshirt the whole class. You know, kind of just depends on injury history and what happens there. But it's, for us, the special teams component's the biggest portion of it. And then, 2, it's a physical position. I mean, and you've seen the last couple of games, right? We have some issues in the secondary, and we're in more base defense. And the more you can get guys that are versatile and that can do a little bit of everything, the better off you're going to feel. And I think all 3 guys are going to stick at the linebacker spot. I'd be surprised if they moved. But, again, 3 very different personalities, too. You know, you got Juju's a freak, right? He's a freak show. He's a big kid who's had a great last 2 years at West High, but kind of quiet demeanor, kind of quiet in nature. You know, you got Kaysen, who has got way more personality than you think and probably looks like your prototype Big Ten linebacker. And then you got Billy, who might be the second best interview behind Darian Jones, who's a wild card but such a good kid. And he looks like what we've brought in here in the past, right? The Christian Kirksies, the guys that they're going to need a year to develop, but you love the length, you love the way he plays, flies around, but, you know, he's going to need the weight room a little bit. But with 3 guys we're excited about, and I know Seth feels really good about him. and 3 guys that it was well documented were trying to be poached by different schools around the country. I mean, those guys had their pick of the litter too, and all 3 guys stay committed and stay loyal to us. So it's a good thing, obviously.
Hey, Colin Davies, KCRG. You mentioned having a lot more business-like with the recruiting nowadays. What do you look for in a kid, especially with this being more of a developmental program, that you can tell that a kid's going to stick around for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, even though he might not play right off the start? You know, how do you tell and project that far in advance that the kid's not going to go transfer out if he's not playing, you know, for a few years?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you ever know for certain, especially in this day and age, but it still comes down to, right, we're going to talk to everybody we can in the school. We still rely on high school head coaches. A lot of places don't, right? They're going to say, who's your agent? I'll talk to your agent. You work the recruiting through there, and that is part of the process, but that's way down the road for us. And then you got to get them on campus. You got to get a feel for who they are, what their family's like, the dynamic there. Again, the multi-sport thing is huge. You know, Chad just mentioned we have 8 4-stars. I didn't even know that. Like, again, we don't recruit off of rankings and stars and all, and that's great. I'm glad we can celebrate it. I don't get any type of raise, or neither does our recruiting staff for that. But you got to dig into who the kid is, and at some point you're going to figure out if their values match ours, right? And now more than ever, you can figure out real quick if their values don't match ours, right? If the money and the number is the most important thing, that's not who we are. Like, we've got a bunch of guys on this roster that if they wanted to hit the portal, they're going to get paid a ton. And same with our staff members. There's not a single person back there in the hallway that hasn't been offered a job with more money or more prestige somewhere, but there's a reason we all continue to stay here and don't leave, and that's true with our players too. And a big part of it too is when we get guys here, getting them around our players and letting our players feel it out too. Like, hey, what do you think of this kid, right? Do you think he's going to fit? Do you think he's a guy that you want inside your locker room every day? And we take their feedback just as much as anybody else. So it's continuing to be diligent and call us old school, call us slow, that we don't offer too many people or as quick as other schools. But for us, it's a recipe and a formula that's worked for us, and we're going to continue to stick with it as much as possible. And that's the same in the portal too. The portal is just expedited. It's speed dating on steroids, where you've got to do all that while you're trying to figure out who it is, get your hooks into a kid, but you got to do it at a faster clip. Yeah.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. Tyler, wanted to ask you about Julian Manson. He could easily play tight end for you guys.
He could play a few spots for sure.
A few spots,
Yeah,
maybe a
for sure.
wide receiver.
Yeah.
How do you go about that process of figuring out, you know, your best future here, or your best future is on the other side of the ball?
One of my favorite camps I've ever been a part of. So Juju came here going into his, let's say, sophomore year. Had never played linebacker in his life. Had never really gotten to the point where he had to be physical and strike somebody. And Jason brings him in and is like, hey, let's get him a helmet and we're going to make him play linebacker. And I just remember laughing, because when you meet Juju, especially young Juju, you don't see that ferociousness or that violence that you see on film right now. And we stuck him in one-on-ones, and we get to the end of camp, and we're pretty physical here. I mean, part of our camps is, can you match our physicality, and can you be okay with it? And it shocked all of us when Juju was just striking guys. And we're like, holy shit, like, this kid has got a chance now. And he still was a baby reindeer at that point, right, growing into his body. And at that point, that's when Juju started playing defense and linebacker. It was the next year at West High. And then you see his body grow, like, right, it's, you know, I mean, I promise you KB is probably sitting there just waiting, like, come on, Juju, come on down, we'll put your hand in the dirt. But until he proves he can't do it, we're not going to do that. And the same could be said for Jack Campbell. I mean, and I've got it on record, his sophomore and junior year, I thought Jack was going to be a D-end. I didn't think he moved well enough. He hadn't put it together running around on field. And then you saw his senior year, I was like, all right, this guy's a linebacker. And trust me, there were conversations in the building about people wanting to move him to DN, and I was like, Coach, this guy's like an All-American linebacker. What are we talking about? And thankfully, we stuck him there. So you just got to see how their bodies progress when they get here. And if he can't do it at linebacker for some reason, I'm sure he'd be a heck of a DN. But I know myself and I know Seth, we're going to keep him at linebacker and see what he can do. Yeah, it's just part of the evolution. We'll see what happens there. Yeah.
Chad Leistiko, Des Moines Register. We saw one of your juniors walk on senior day. Do you have a sense of how many early entry departures you would have, and then like how much? I know you need to know the roster count. So how many portal openings would you say you would expect to have come January 2nd?
Chad, you know I'm not going to answer that question fully. Come
Ballpark,
on now.
ballpark.
In terms of early entrance, you know, we'll see. This is the time of year where they get a chance to sit down with their position coaches, Coach Ferentz, and if I need to get NFL feedback for them, I will, you know, reach out to 12, 13, 14 teams and just get an idea where they are grade-wise. You never know. You never know until you really get the feedback. I know we got a couple of underclassmen that could probably test the water, so they wanted to, and we've got no indication that they're going to. So I think they'll be back. The portal, we have an idea what we want to do spots-wise, and you guys follow us closely enough that, I think if I gave you guys 10 minutes as a group, you'd probably come up pretty close within perfect of what our needs are. But a big thing, too, is, this is the time of year where, all starters, all the guys that have been playing the last 12 games, they're not going to do much the next 12 practices or so. I mean, they'll be out there, but it's more about getting the young guys rolling. And when you can see some of these young guys take steps, that's going to alter maybe what we think we need. And Chad, I mentioned you earlier, I mean, even going into the Nebraska game, I think we had a couple spots here marked at certain spots, and coming out of the Nebraska game, we're like, actually, I think we're going to be all right. So you got to see young guys kind of develop and guys take the next step. But we'll see. I mean, you guys will be tracking it. You'll see what's going out there offer-wise, and you'll find out soon enough. Sorry, I can't give away all the secrets. Yeah.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Funny you talk about the portal. I was just about to ask about the portal. I guess for you guys as a recruiting staff, how difficult is it to be able to put together a plan when, again, you don't know who's going to end up entering the portal, whether guys you want to pursue, guys that end up leaving the team, what spots are going to be available. And with the new portal window that I wish they would just settle in because it seems like it changes every single year.
It does, yeah.
I guess, how do you guys approach making a game plan, sticking by it, and how quickly are you going to be able to adapt if a guy leaves unexpectedly or, you get some traction with a guy who just ends up entering the portal? I guess, how are you as a staff collectively approaching this?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's fluid no matter when it is, and that's a big portion of my job is, going into every season, I've got our scholarship chart and I've got a million different color codes for certain things, and there's some that are flight risk on there, right? You hear from different guys on the team, you hear from people in the building, you can see their demeanors, like, okay, this kid might not be here come January. So you're building out your roster and your needs based on those, right? And you don't want to lose anybody, but come this time of year, everybody talks in this building, and the players are great, but they're horrible at keeping secrets, right? So at some point it's going to get out, and you're going to have an idea, and then it's just a matter of getting to this time of year where you have those kind of those exit interview meetings. The portal is different this year. One, signing day is way too early. This is wild that it's December 3rd, and I'm talking to you guys about our high school class, but two, it's unique because we have this whole month of December, and the portal doesn't open up for a month from today. There's just a lot that could happen. But you have to be fluid, and that's something I'm looking at every single week. And you're talking to Phil, and you're talking to Tim, and you're talking to the position coaches, and you have to be open and honest with them. Like, hey, I think so and so. I've heard this. What kind of bead do you have on this kid who I think he might leave? And we talk about it throughout the year, and then certainly after our last game, we have a full staff discussion where we're trying to plan for that. But for the most part, you have a good idea. There's going to be a surprise or two every year, like it just happens, but you just got to be able to adapt and adjust quickly. There's a couple of spots right now we don't plan to take transfers at, but that could change in the next 5 to 10 days because something could pop and we're going to have to kind of rearrange our strategy. And that's where Rhett does a great job helping me build our transfer board and kind of stacking that. And even spots we know we're not going to take guys, you still got some names on there just in case. Yeah.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. I want to ask about Luke Brewer, someone highly recruited, reclassed. How did that recruitment kind of unfold from your end?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I can't remember if I was with Rhett or somebody else, but I'd mentioned going during fall camp. I was like, Luke's he's an older kid for his grade. He's already kind of done what he wants, and we weren't going to take a tight end in this class. We were going to wait until 27 because we had some guys we felt good about, including Luke. I was like, maybe we should just call him and see if he wants to completely reclassify. And it was not more than 2 days later, he reached out to us. Somebody else had the same thought as us, a staff, and kind of got that rolling in his mind. So I think he took about 2 weeks to really fully make the decision on whether to reclassify. And I think we were probably in a good spot for Luke in the 27 class. I think when he ultimately decided to reclassify, we were probably running third, maybe fourth in his recruitment. I'll let you guys ask Luke. I don't really know what to pinpoint that really pushed us ahead, but I know once we found that out, we were full steam ahead on Luke, just trying to make sure he understood we're not recruiting anybody else in the 26 class. We actually have no other 26 tight end offers out. Like, you're the guy. We want you here. Being a local kid, having a sister be here on the softball team, I think certainly helps. He comes from an Iowa State family. He was kind of the oddball out. He was the one kid that was a Hawkeye fan for some reason, and glad he was. But I think just getting him here, and obviously getting his teammate Eli Robbins, who will be here in January, committed as well, I think that kind of helped. And just getting him around Abdul, getting him around Tim, and just trying to get him here as much as possible, feel more and more comfortable. Yeah, and if I told you that I thought we were leading for Luke 3 weeks before his commitment, I'd be lying to you. Like, I'm pretty sure we were third at that point. I don't know what switched it, but we're glad we got him for sure. He's a great kid, and he's going to come in and do big things here. Obviously, won't be here until June since he's reclassifying, but it'll be good to get him here. Yeah.
Last question, Scott.
Hi, Tyler. I wanted to ask you about defensive line. You know, you bring in two guys, probably more developmental types, at least it'll take a year or two before they can really have their full impact. But it also, you look and you say you're losing 4 starters plus a rotational guy. That seems to be one where you're looking at, okay, Portal, what do you got to offer here? What do you feel
That's
like?
good. That's good investigative work, Scott. You are correct. Yes. Yeah.
That is my role. You know? Anyway, I wanted to ask just, how do you feel about the development of a couple of the classes that you've brought in, and where do you, is there a spot or two on that front that you feel like you need to supplement it at worst, or possibly grab starters from in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, I'm not giving up anything extravagant here. I mean, we're probably going to look for one inside and one outside guy in the portal, realistically. But, we've got a young class of guys that are redshirt freshmen right now you feel really good about. You got Yosei Epinesa, who everybody knows about. While we may be younger next year on the D-line, there's just guys you really like and guys that are promising. So, again, this next 3 weeks for those 5 guys, Yosei and those redshirt freshmen, are going to be huge. I mean, they're either going to love KB or hate him because they're going to get every rep in the world to see what they can do. And they've had great falls, and they've really pushed along. Their bodies physically are where they're supposed to be at this point. But we see enough of them in fall camp that we felt good enough that, hey, should we take 2 or 3 high school guys? We kind of had it slotted to take 3. We kind of went back and forth. But what we have in the room is, again, it's young and not a ton of experience, but there's guys you really like in what we've seen. So obviously that's going to be a position we're going to look to hit the portal on for sure. But again, I don't know if it has to be an all-star or a starter. We just got to find the right guys. And KB, he likes to play an 8-man rotation as much as possible. So it's going to be by committee, just like it's always been in that room.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyler. Can we talk Bears football?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, gosh. A big one this weekend.
Thanks for joining us here in the streaming studio. For anyone who may have tuned in a little late, that was the University of Iowa signing day press conference. It started off with head coach Kirk Ferentz talking about Friday's game, saying he was proud of the team and that they're going to use the month of December to kind of recharge and reset for the team. Ferentz said recruiting has changed a lot, but this year said they are adding 18 scholarship athletes and 4 walk-ons for a total of 22 new players. Ferentz says he's feeling good and that 14 of those players will start in January, which is the most players they've had starting in January, he says, ever. We'll have more of a recap on that press conference coming up on the TV9 News at 6. Sports reporter Colin Davies will have an in-depth recap on that press conference for signing day at the University of Iowa. Thanks for joining us.